Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good evening on the other side of the world. Welcome to Beyond the Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. Today is going to be a lot of fun. Of course, I get to hang out with my compadre, one of my favorite people, and fellow co-host, co-hosts. We're all co-hosts to one another here on the United Public Radio Network, and we're going to be tackling, of course, our celebrity death series, talking about Faul McCartney, long lasting death conspiracy, many clues hidden within lyrics and images hidden in plain sight. Then enter the secret world of Illuminati and, satanic ties. It's a real whole mix of stuff. And I thought a good place to go with all of it would be an article by Andrew Gough. You guys can find the link in the show description. It's probably the best researched article I've seen, and he's very, very reputable as far as being a researcher. He's very well known, and I mean, if you guys saw him, you'd know him. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to have some shenanigans and just stir shit up right there. And who better to do it with? Shenanigans with Lorilei Potvin.
Yes. Thank you for having me back. We had so much fun. I think it was at the beginning of November, when we did the first part.
I think we did. And I think it's something we said we were just going to keep doing as we move along. So we're going to definitely do some more. And of course, how do you not start with this one?
Well, yeah, but I'm going to back up a little bit because I remember showing that clip of the Paul Walker clip that people are going, it's AI. And it was like, no, this was filmed of this guy that is a dead ringer for Paul Walker. Well, I was at my son's house for Christmas, and I pulled it out and showed them because they're all going, oh, sure, right? And then they're going, oh my gosh, looks just like him. Hi, everybody.
I know it does. That's the thing. That's a whole segment that we can do, like on cloning.
There's
and
many.
I know. Because Lorilei and I have talked about this a little bit as to directions, and it's just, what direction can't you go in with this stuff? I find so much stuff out there that leaves me scratching my head going, all the world is a stage.
I was even looking at the date, supposedly in 1966, when supposedly Paul allegedly, we'll say, passed away, because that number 9/10 and 9/11, I'm telling you, and it's for our people listening, it's the European date because they do it backwards to us instead of it'll be it should be 11/9, but still those numbers, right? There's something to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is. There's always little codes hidden in there. And it's just one of these things that have been hanging on forever. Because I mean, let's just go. Let's go with the 1966. And again, there's a lot of things surrounding this death that are pretty shrouded in mystery as well, like different versions of it. And if you start looking into that, and I love how Andrew comes out and says, looking at soft evidence surrounding the alleged death, but focusing on noticeable shifts in band behavior, song lyrics, album artwork. And then you get into hard evidence such as DNA, fingerprints, voice analysis, physical characteristics, right down to how, because I think the original Paul McCartney was a lefty, wasn't he, with his guitar?
He was a lefty. Yep.
So
I'm a lefty.
So is my grandson. He is a lefty. I'm like, look at you being a little lefty. So, So, and I mean, playing guitar left-handed, I mean, even somebody coming in there would have to have learned that all over again. But
because he had a Paul McCartney look-a-like contest supposedly after this accident, and the William Campbell / Billy Shears. I found even more clips from when we sort of talked about this on the last show of the different Beatles sort of saying different bits and pieces about or alleging to that date in 1966, or calling him on camera William and Billy. And this is
Mm.
before AI, guys. This is like back in the day. So just so you know, and I've seen these clips way back then. What I was trying to find before this show was I had watched it when I was still back in my old house, as many years ago. It was a documentary put out mainly based on the person that ran, it was a woman who ran their fan club and was a big, oh, sorry about that, guys. Hang on, sorry, I was not expecting my phone to ring. Sorry. She was she supposedly was on the Paul McCartney train, and she had a lot of stuff and behind the scenes. I could not find it. I looked for it, but it was incredible.
Yeah. See, it goes to show you right down to the, like all of a sudden, like the love interest, Linda McCartney, because he was with
Was she
somebody else, right? Like right there, the whole behavior of the band. And I mean, that's the place where you sort of have to start. But when you get into, the death, nobody's really sure exactly how it happened, apparently, because there's all kinds of different, different things that are stated. And then as you go along, you hear the whole Paul is dead story. So according to that lore, Paul McCartney crashed his 65 Aston Martin, and there are pictures of that are kind of interesting as well. Yeah. On the night of September 10th, 66, and claimed his life just hours later, which if you look at some of the pictures
that's what I screwed up with the date. That's where I was going with it backwards. Thank you for telling me that, because there's been conspiracy about, was it so September would have been the 9th month, 10th day? Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's all kind. It goes up and down like this, but he puts pictures, alleged pictures, in this article, and I sit here and think to myself, how could it pass hours later? When you look at some of these pictures, you're kind of going, I'm pretty much thinking that would have been instantaneous, right? So I don't know. So and some of the lyrics, you know what I mean? Do you promise not to tell? He blew his mind out in a car. Lovely Rita, meter maid. Nothing can come between us. When it gets dark, I tore your heart away. Got the bill and Rita paid it. Took her phone home, nearly made it. This is Lovely Rita. And there's something to do with that in far as this accident goes.
There was conspiracy about the woman that he supposedly picked up on the side of the road. Was her name Rita? And I forget what the other.
Donna,
yes, thank you.
I think it was. Yeah.
We weren't sure, like, depending where you research. Because what I even did was I went through and just asked, like, okay, tell me all of the stuff, the points that kind of point to it, besides this incredible article that was written by his name again, I forget
Andrew
what his name
Gough,
is.
Yeah.
Andrew. That could have been a book. He did such an incredible job on this article, and good for him, Michelle.
Yeah, the link is, again, guy in the show description, guys, because I really want him to get the credit. Check out his website; it's like phenomenal. But yeah, I mean, there is all of these this confusion with who it was, what happened, wrapped the car around a pole, ran apparently a red light, hit by a yellow truck, resulting in, hence why the whole line that says, died, took his life hours later, because resulting in decapitation and car fire, both died instantly. In another account, the woman managed to crawl out, seek help.
Yes, that's what I was talking
she returned to save Paul, which we know probably is questionable, right?
Because where is she if she crawled out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And they talk about, the Maxwell Silver Hammer song, Bang Bang. Maxwell Silver Hammer came down upon his head. Maxwell Silver Hammer made sure that he was dead. So you're looking again at lyrics. It's interesting. They write about the crash, real or imagined, with explicit references to Paul and the woman on that fateful Sunday, on the way back home to source, burning like matches, lifting car latches, right? In an attempt to escape the horror. He blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice the lights had changed. The rain exploded with a mighty crash as We fell into the sun. Band on the Run. See, like,
go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
No, all I was going to add was that I even went through the album covers, the whole bit, the albums, and that's what I was going to say. While I was still doing research, I came across a quick video clip of Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin referencing the supposed conspiracy about Paul McCartney passing away and the messages backwards in the album. So he said, of course, we were suspect back in the day. And he's making a big joke about, like, why would we ever put that? I think it had something to do with Satan, the message for Led Zeppelin. Yes. And yeah, there's a lot of messages played backwards, especially back in the day. So to me, and you got to look at the whole big picture here, right? The music industry, Hollywood, and it's the machine to me. And the things I'm seeing, even with, and I know we're not talking about the Charlie Kirk thing that's going on. When you're over the button, that's when the heat comes, right? So you always get, there's too much here to say there's nothing, is where I'm going with this. No matter how hotly contested it is by media or other people, naysayers, there's just too much, I think.
I agree with you. And the further we get into the show with the whole Illuminati thing and the panic thing, when you realize, what did I just do? And you can see that in some of the album covers as well. Since you mentioned that. And like Wayne says, yeah, he goes, even John Lennon whispers, "Shoot me," in a song. Yes. I can't recall, but the chorus. Yeah. So it's just, So, okay, other versions, alleged death, 5 a.m. in the morning, cited as body was discovered and murdered. Wednesday morning, 5 o'clock, as the day begins. This is, again, another song. So, again, we're getting into the U.S. reported that the death happened on the 12th of September.
Did you come
2 days later, right?
Did you come across, I'm getting excited, that apparently there was a news broadcast that came out right after the accident. It was like mid-afternoon. It said more news to follow later, and it was never followed up. They've interviewed people with the research I did. It was like it came out and said, popular member of the world's #1 band, Paul McCartney, died in a car crash today. More news to follow at 11. And they never said a word. They never contested it. They never retracted it, but they didn't follow it up either.
Wow. So they just left it like it was no big deal. Or here it happened. Yeah, promised details at 11. And when the time came, no, it's right here. Nothing came. No further information given. And the initial bulletin was neither retracted nor explained. Over the years, several people came forward with sworn testimonies claiming.
I think that's where I read it, your article. That's where it was.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So let me just put up a picture here. 1 second. Because they have a picture of the car. So it's not like this is, I'm just going to pull this up from the article and share it with y'all. Okay, here we go. So, there it is. Paul is dead. This was the car. So as you could see, anybody sitting there, and here's the steering wheel. And I'm going to show you guys a picture of this car shortly. You look at something like this, it would take a lot to fix this little baby up, right? So this is it. And note the color, okay? So we're going to leave that right there.
I just noticed a picture in here. Sorry, I got a bit of a delay, you guys, and I apologize. It seems like there's a pause, so I don't mean to speak over you, Michelle, but I just realized the picture he has in this article. Now, we can't show this. It says Paul McCartney in the morgue. I did not realize. I thought that was an advertisement.
That would be important.
We can't. No.
That would be
I am just like, how did he get that?
I know, but it is in the. It explains where the picture came from. It is in the article. So you guys can go and see that. Again, the link is in the description. I highly recommend anybody with interest checking out. It is very well researched, very well done by somebody who's very reputable in his research. So that's just one. So we're gonna leave that be.
Viewer discretion advised. Viewer discretion advised. Absolutely.
Yes. So that's definitely something that you guys need to realize. So here we have the most beloved member, the most revered band, violent death in their prime. Remember how the world mourned Diana. Paul's alleged death on the 11th of September now, coming on the
That's
heels.
where I got that date.
That's the third date. I know, but this is the third date. It's 10, 11, and 12, right? On the heels of John Fitzgerald Kennedy's assassination a few years earlier, would likely have been much for people to suffer, blah, blah, blah. So we get into some different things here. Implications would have been catastrophic for some who believe there were broader agendas of the so-called New World Order. So, moreover, the act of replacing the deceased Paul with an imposter amounts to serious form of identity theft, a crime with legal consequences. Okay, so, and while Sir Paul is still alive, the legal fallout would be staggering and far reaching. So, okay, what secrets did Paul keep? All right. So we get into the replacing him. We've been talking about that. It gets into some legalities with human relations and stuff. So we're just going to go over that a little bit. But it's a very interesting paragraph and gets into some three-letter, organization. So we'll put that right there and let you guys just go check it out for yourself. But another reason the Beatles puppet masters would want to see them continue in the original form is because they were incredibly profitable in the 60s, becoming one of the most commercially successful music arts in history. The financial success stemmed from a combination of record sales, concert merchandise, publishing rights. They sold over 600 million albums worldwide during their career. So that's pretty incredible, right? So it gets into, again, the publishing company. Why would people want this? And so we go in there and it's got Brian Epstein. And so the story goes, and I'm sure you can collaborate this. The story goes that before Paul's death, Brian Epstein interviewed lookalikes due to Paul having been ill, needing a stand-in for a live performance. And it looks like the lookalike began performing as early as 65, with band members providing real-time instructions to him on stage. So it gets into some more stuff there. But it was William Shepherd, also known as William Campbell, of Scottish and Irish descent, born in 1937. He was actually 5 years older than Paul. I did not know that. While there were other candidates, none had the right blend of musicianship and physical resemblance. So that was that. So William, okay. Let me introduce you to the one.
And why does he have so many names? Why does he have so many names? Like, it's William Shepherd, William Campbell, Billy Shears.
I wonder if Billy Shears is where they settled on. You know how you have your stage name. I wonder if it was a stage name. So the remarkable book entitled The Memoirs of Billy Shears. So this is something like he released on September 9th, 2009, the Mirror of 666, updated periodically since. Book claims to be written in the voice of a man hired by Tavistock to replace Paul after his untimely death. The man, William Shepherd, better known as Billy Shears, shows an astonishing, detailed account of his life as a Beatle. So he's essentially saying this. Yeah. So he says this. And when you look at him, and we will have a picture of the two of them side by side.
I got a bunch of them because I didn't even talk to you before, but I knew the two of us. I got a bunch of them to compare them.
Let's put them up. Let's just go ahead anytime you want. Yeah, let's do it because
you're talking.
There's a noticeable difference, right? And a whole bunch of Paul is
okay, did they not
there's tons of stuff.
And
this is also a good question, but wouldn't his close family?
They didn't all send through.
Oh, wouldn't his family not notice that it wasn't him, or were they all in on it? Right? I think we'll address.
I would think they probably were all in on it and didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
I'll have to send the pictures back.
Okay.
To me because I sent them on my phone. Okay, so this is actually TikTok. Here. Hang on.
Fake Paul was taller. Also, yes.
Yeah, because these are at different stages in his life.
Yeah, that's okay.
Share screen we want here. Sorry, guys. Hang on. I think this is the one I don't want to play the audio on because it's got copyrighted music on it.
Yeah, that's
But
okay.
give me a sec here. Let's see if we can get it. Yeah, I
Wow.
did, because it's
See the
got
difference
Beatles
there?
music to it. So
And didn't he have surgery? I know it'll probably say
okay,
somewhere
but
in
it
the
keeps
article.
playing. So let me see if I can get it to play further here. Are you playing on me or not? There
Just
we go. So
muted or
there's
something.
another
Yeah.
one. Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I muted. Am I muted?
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah,
Am I
there is
muted?
yeah. Yeah, it's muted. There's a
There's a
clear
button.
difference between them.
Okay, yeah, I muted it just in case.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you start looking at them. I have a bunch of pictures too. I'll send them to
Mhm.
myself as we're
Yeah.
talking. But
Yeah.
there was even one of the documentaries I watched again back in my old house that I wonder if it's still playing. There's a newer one. I'll see if it'll play it again. No. Okay, let's see if now it's playing. Let's see if it'll go through. It might be pictures too. But you can see there's a big difference, but there's even pictures. I'll stop it now and I'll get my pictures. They were more
Yeah.
telling. But there's
Yeah.
a big they were I know in one of the documentaries there was two that we watched, because I started on this like years ago after watching with the she was the head of the fan club, that
Mhm.
documentary. And then there was another one that really went really in depth. There's even theory that MI6, we'll say, and others had the technology back then to do plastic surgery when it came to, we'll say, operatives when they needed them for a role and what have you. Plus, even
Mm.
look at the masks they have nowadays. My theory is, if we, the public, are being shown what's available, they're 50 to 100 years ahead of us, those that
Yes. Yeah.
alphabet soup organizations will say. Mhm.
Yes. I agree with you. Yeah. We get what's on like a need to know basis. We don't need to know very much
Mhm.
apparently. So that's kind of it's interesting when you start to see, read between the lines, you really get to notice a lot of stuff.
I
Um,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just looked at the pictures. They were actually the ones in that TikTok, so that's good. I just looked because it came through on my phone, but they didn't on my computer, but
Oh,
that's okay. Because the
yeah,
ones that they showed, there's not a lot of them, but there
yeah.
are pictures showing the difference. And also pictures, I have a couple, and I'll resend them to myself, of Paul before the accident and after. Because he grew a mustache, they say, because he got a scar from the car accident he wanted to
Mhm,
hide. But
mhm.
did he? Because his face looks very different. Mhm.
It does, and when you see the morgue pictures in the article, you're gonna realize pretty darn quick that A, you don't survive that, B, plastic
No,
surgery is not it's not an option. It is not an
no.
option at all. Okay, so there's the memoirs of Billy Shears, which is very curious. And then it says if you comb through the YouTube for Paul is dead videos, you'll find numerous theories, most which paint Billy as an opportunistic imposter. Is hired to do a job, forcefully assuming Paul's identity and wealth against the will of John, George, and Ringo. But it appears that the band, had no choice because their powers that be, Tavistock, was determined to not let their most powerful or profitable music powerhouse collapse due, to the death. So, in the memoirs of Billy Shears, a new twist on the car crash emerges. Paul had been troubled by nightmares since the 29th of January, 65, and we'll get into why and stuff as we move on, but not only foretold his death, but also the need for him to find his own replacement. John, George, and Ringo thought he was losing his mind, as did his girlfriend, actress Jane Asher, her family, and his friends from the Rolling Stones, The Who, and Donovan, who indulged him as he obsessively shared his disturbing visions. So, in this account, Billy recalls his first meeting with Paul, who is visibly unsettled upon seeing him and seeing the difference. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah. So there's that, and there's a story that goes with
I'm
that,
gonna
of
add
course.
something else because,
Yeah,
like I said, I'm following this Charlie Kirk thing very closely. And
yeah.
interestingly enough, there's documentation that he's been having very vivid dreams before he passed, that he knew he was going to pass early. And there's proof of this. It's not just rumor. I've been following channels that come with the receipts, as the kids say these days. And I'm just thinking, isn't this interesting that Paul supposedly had these issues way back in the day, and then we've got a modern day figure who's talking about their dreams, very vivid, very nightmares, very prophetic about I'm not going to live to an old age. I'm going to pass away at a young. I'm just saying, if we're going to go down the road with conspiracy, where we're going.
Yeah, premonition for sure, for sure. My thoughts are there was sacrificial stuff going on. He wanted out and was granted a walk from the Beatles, and the body that had no face removed it, so it would be impossible to identify him. That's another theory that we'll hit as we get further in as well. Okay, so we get into Paul's foreboding dreams. The song Eleanor Rigby hinted at the dilemma of his future funeral. So Father Mackenzie writing the words of a sermon that no one will hear, no one comes near. That's Eleanor Rigby, 1966. So same with Dear Prudence, right? Well, the undertaker drew a heavy sigh, seeing no one else had to come. That's Band on the Run. So, and then Eleanor Rigby, there's a picture of a headstone here. Loving memory, Eleanor Rigby. The intriguing element of this theory claims that he was buried in London's Gothic Highgate Cemetery on the 13th of September, 1966, under the name James Peter McIlroy, with only Ringo and George in attendance. And in the 1995 video for the Beatles song Free as a Bird, originally demoed by Lennon, a tomb featured in a setting of the heavily wooded Highgate Cemetery, which looks like a hooded figure of sorts. Yeah, in loving memory of Eleanor Rigby, 12th of September. I don't know. Free as a bird.
Eleanor Rigby. Sorry, wasn't Eleanor Rigby a fictitious name? No, of course, I'm sure there are people with that name. But just the date where the headstone is, like, there's just too many things.
I know, right? So there it is. There's the headstone right here. So I don't know. I mean, I don't believe in coincidence. So, I go with that theory. 2 weeks after his supposed funeral on the 25th of September, Brian Epstein was hospitalized for severe anxiety, reportedly over the Beatles' decision to stop touring. I guess that would put you in a fit for sure. So in the memoirs of Billy Shears, we learned that one of Paul's recurring dreams was that he picked up a hitchhiker who was acting in a bit of a frenzy when she realized who he was. Then the song, Find a Beatles song called, which instigated the accident apparently. Good morning, watching the skirts, you start to flirt. Now you're in gear, nothing to do to save his life. Right? And then it gets into, again, Paul's 1965 song, I'm Down. How can you laugh when you know I'm down? Right? So that's something. 2 years after the alleged death, Ringo and the Beatles sang about the guilt he felt of doubting the authenticity of Paul's ominous dreams. I'm sorry I doubted you. It was so unfair. You were in a car crash. You lost your hair. Yes.
And more.
And more. You said that you would be late about an hour or two. I said, that's all right. I'm waiting here, just waiting here on you. Don't pass me by. Don't make me cry. Don't make me blue. That's the song Don't Pass Me By from the White Album. So now I'm looking at pictures here right now, and I'm not going to show those because they're extremely graphic.
I didn't even realize. I thought it was something completely unrelated till I actually I went, holy crap.
Yeah, I think Epstein took these pictures. Yeah, they were supposedly taken by Brian Epstein. The chilling image is said to have inspired various references to different lyrics, like "You lost your hair," and accounts suggest that a police officer in the morgue remarked about Paul's disfigured face, okay, you could say that, um, disfigured, and where John Lennon punched him in the face. You look at this, though, when you look at here, that definitely looks like the real. So again, I'll have to leave it, guys. You'll have to go in and have a look at it. And, and then we get into, because of, I guess, the shape, well, I guess is all you could say. There's a lyric that says, I told you about the walrus and me, man. We were as close as can be. Well, here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul. Other
And that's what it
references.
said in here, right? It said that a police officer in the morgue remarked
Yeah,
that Paul's disfigured face resembled a walrus.
that's
So
right. And
that's the
that
first
came
time I
from that.
understood, because I kept hearing about I am the walrus, I am the
Yes.
walrus. The first time that's put it all together for me, anyways. I've never seen it before till this article. Such a great job and such a good find, Michelle.
Oh, this isn't really an incredible article. I was say Andrew's so well researched.
Mhm.
Other references here. Here comes old flat top and come together. When I get older, losing my hair when I'm 64. So Billy Shears, his memoirs really do add a lot to this stuff. We learn about Paul's father and stepmother did not recognize his body or his clothes, and stressed that Paul had often loaned his cars to friends, especially his Aston Martin. In one instance, he instructed an associate to drive to Heathrow to pick up singer Marianne Faithfull. On the way back to London, his chauffeur received a speeding ticket for traveling 140 miles an hour on the
Yes.
M4 motorway, where basically Paul said, "Hey, baby, can you drive my car?" But given the condition of the body, Paul's dentist was consulted, even with dental records, could not confirm. Despite the similarities, the body in the morgue was missing a tooth. Even Brian Epstein, who examined the body closely, did not think it was Paul's. Who then could it have been? And you really have to do this. So then we get into essentially faking his own death.
It would have been hard to tell from dental records as well, because you'd only have a certain part from that
Oh,
picture. If you see what we're talking about, yeah, it would have been
yes,
hard.
yes, yes,
Mhm.
exactly. That's what I mean. You're kind of like, mm, okay.
That could
That's,
have been any poor unfortunate soul, and I'm very sorry, but it could have been maybe
yeah.
now in the day of age of tattoos
Except
and
this,
things, maybe, but
if you look at
not
his
then.
face, if you look at his face and look at his chin, though,
Mhm.
it's so
It
close.
does. Yeah, it's
It's so
close.
close. But yeah. So they get into that. They were aware that Paul's registration number had been totaled, being the car.
Mhm.
With that registration number, no survivors. This is investigators and journalists. Epstein had no choice but to contact Billy Shears, who he had previously considered a potential replacement. And then came this telegram from Epstein, instantly understood its cryptid meaning. Paul had been replaced, but how and why hadn't he been consulted? What the telegram said allegedly was, Paul was right. Dreams came true. He's a new man now. Organize your schedule to meet me at 1 p.m. Tuesday passed without contact from him, leaving John in a state of confusion. And then again, part of the Walrus song, "Stupid Bloody Tuesday, man, you've been a naughty boy. You let your face grow long. I am the Walrus." So right there, because Billy Shears had a longer, right, taller, more narrow face, not this little round baby face.
Actually, Wayne has a good point here. He said, let's see, Epstein looking for a double before the crash. Then they found one that was close, possibly no next of kin. That was the disfigured fellow that everyone saw in the morgue. Coincidence?
Yeah.
Could be.
A
Could
lot,
be.
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, if you start digging, you do find the stuff, but if you know where to look, and for me, this article was all of that. So
He could have made this into a book. He could have.
he should. It is so
Mhm.
well researched. You could add all kinds of photos and such. Like, you know, it was mind blowing for me. The first time I read it, I just remember looking at Wayne going, this right here. This is a thing. You need to read this thing. It's crazy. Um, so Epstein, I guess it was a reporter named Sam Wells who had inspected Paul's demolished car, was convinced that Paul had been in it.
Mhm.
Clearly, he recognized the enormity of the scoop, was determined to reveal it. Of course, Epstein offered a large sum of money and a cruise to Italy for him and his wife. So, of course, off they go. An intriguing detail is that September 66, the same month as Paul's alleged crash, George Harrison, his wife Patty Boyd, traveled to India, checked into the Taj Mahal Hotel under the aliases Sam Wells. The effort to stifle the Birmingham Reporter appeared to be a priority. Yeah. So, so the band on the run lyrics, Lady Madonna, Friday night arrives without a suitcase. Tuesday afternoon is never ending. Wednesday morning papers didn't come. So, so you just start getting into this crazy stuff. And Wednesday morning papers didn't come, alludes to the threat by Sam Wells that the news of Paul's death would be published on the Wednesday paper if he wasn't paid by 5 p.m. Tuesday. And on Band on the Run, Billy, of course, now free of shackles of the Beatles, is slightly more explicit. And the jailer man and Sailor Sam were searching everyone for the band on the run, and the country judge who held a grudge will search forevermore for the band on the run. Sailor Sam came from Birmingham, but he will never be found. The Beatles were on the run, and Sailor Sam had vanished without a trace.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Keeps going, doesn't it? Right? Keeps going. So Wayne says Beatles made millions to then suddenly have one of the founding members wanting out would have put everything in all motions and manner of plans would have seemed what would seem to the common person to be impossible. Millions. Yeah.
Well, I've been thinking it's either the world's earliest and best marketing ploy, which I doubt, because like I said, there's just too many things, like the album covers, and then you get people say, well, you're just twisting it to your narrative. Well, do you know how many people would have to be in on it to have this happen? They don't, that they think for most of us in this arena that do research that no, there doesn't have to be hundreds of people in on this type of, we'll say, plot, if you will. It only takes a few and a lot of money to pay the
Yes.
right people.
Yes. No, exactly. It really wouldn't take much. This is a machine. This whole business side of things was like a machine, Okay, so where do we keep going? Okay. So in Paris, Billy reflected that what mattered most to John was that he and Paul had started the Beatles and led them to superstardom. So then we're getting into a little bit of I think a little bit of headbutting. The eerie prediction of his own death replacement has seemed far-fetched. Now it made it easier for John to accept the situation. How does it feel to be one of the beautiful people? You're a rich man now. This was Neil Aspinall, who was, I guess, somebody, I don't know if he was a friend, they're not really saying, but he joked to Billy in Paris, and he said this, because hence the song, Baby, You're a Rich Man, released as a B-side of All You Need Is Love in 1967. So, like, you could see how the evolution, I think, of the Beatles started changing a little bit. And the Beatles that John accepted in Paris was foreshadowed by the release of the album, of course, Revolver. Paul had died and revolved out while Billy revolved in. So the shift came at this cost. And you see it again in lyrics. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be you in time. You're going to carry that weight for a very long time. And these, again, are all different songs. You say goodbye, I say hello, hello. I don't know why you say goodbye, and I say hello, hello. So that's the whole hello, goodbye thing. So Billy had to undergo a complete transformation in order to mirror Paul, which included learning how to play a left-handed guitar, despite being naturally right-handed. And I think there are photos of him, like where he has slipped up, both sides, even though Paul, the real Paul, never played that way. So perfecting the latter was essential as one of the first responsibilities. Signing checks to key individuals to ensure their silence. That's interesting with
Mm-hmm.
key individuals. So basically, he says he could not explain owing to the required confidentiality. This was to one of the questions that Patsy posed. I could not explain my role of Paul to friends and family, and I imagine his family. Relatives of Paul, however, already knew. Okay, it was common knowledge to some. Paul had foretold his new life through another, realized one sided nature of the clandestine deal. It was to assess each of my associates to decide who to let in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I learned to talk about Paul's life and creating Paul's history. And I mean, and he's like, at the time this was written, which was a year ago, January 2025,
Mm-hmm.
he was 82 years old.
Okay. Because some of the comments we're seeing here, imagine having to live your whole life as a lie. But what if you love that lie? You already look like the person that you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and we see how many artists do we see out there that look
Mhm.
or have plastic surgery to look like an artist. I'm thinking Michael Jackson, Elvis, and they're impersonating. So imagine if you've been accepted as the whole thing. Maybe you come from a life, it seems like, with just a mediocre type life, right? No money, and you're brought in to one of the world's biggest bands. And depending on who you are and your personality, I think it seems like he adapted very well and accepted it. Because there's one other comment Wayne made here that I thought
Yeah.
was good too. He said, imagine if John was going to blow the whistle on everything that went down. Maybe that's why he was bang banged, we'll say. Not to be disrespectful, just we're on YouTube and
Of course.
no longer with us, we'll say. Similar
Yeah.
to how Oswald was shot by Jack Ruby and nobody never said anything. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. There we
Mm-hmm.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Right there it goes. And he continues on to say that after the first year, which would have been hardest, I think you just fall into
Yeah,
life and lifestyle.
absolutely.
No, that would make it, yeah. I mean, that makes it so much easier. I mean, if that's your homework, that's your homework, right? So efforts to
Look at
resemble,
espionage.
no, sorry.
Espionage, sorry, I didn't take in there.
Yeah.
Espionage. People that do this, they take on all kinds of roles. If you kind of sign up for it, hi, Mort, and everybody else that popping in, they seen you all saying hi. Um, if you sign up for it, and we don't know what this, we'll say Billy Shears' life was. How do we know he wasn't trained as a handler? And I know we're going to get into stuff like this or been part of
Yes.
the soup organizations already and was
Mhm.
prepared for the role of a lifetime, we'll say.
Yes. Oh yeah, we definitely will get into this. And you bet, yeah. You
Mhm.
bet. Boy, you really start to, once you get into the flip side of things, you really start to examine all the different possibilities, right?
Mhm.
Um, okay, effort to make Billy resemble Paul began immediately. Injections, received injections from top specialists to reshape his slimmer face into Paul's rounder features,
Mhm.
alongside extensive plastic surgery, including altering his teeth. Every detail is meticulously altered, including adding scars and blemishes to his face, with one chin scar needing to be redone a couple of different times. So none of this was beyond reach. And I guess a song called Dr. Robert says, "You're new and better man. He helps you to understand. He does everything he can, Dr. Robert." So,
Mhm.
this is when in November 66, so it didn't take very long. I mean, that's when the surgery started, but it started prompting John to refer to him as False Paul. And
Fall.
he later shortened that to Fall. In
Mhm.
fact, by October 67, in the Beatles' monthly fanzine number 51, page 5, Paul is referred to as Fall. And there's little they could do to account for Billy being several inches taller than Paul, and that is manipulation of camera, and never tour again. So here's a picture right here of the difference between these two guys. There we go.
That's the best picture, I have to say,
Oh,
because the ones
sorry.
I have are after the work's been done. And like I say, you see supposedly Paul McCartney post accident with a mustache. They said to cover this small scar on his lip from the accident. But you can see they don't look like the same people. I'm so glad that he put a picture in there, because that's
yeah, it's in the article. Like, Andrew's very thorough. That is for sure. Very thorough. And he had such a baby face. Yeah, like Wayne was saying. And you look at, Billy, who's taller, slender face, and even a different hairline. I mean, everything. These are two entirely different people. Right?
Absolutely.
And it wasn't long, after that, where you look at Billy even ends up, with Linda McCartney. I mean, his love interest changed because they had different tastes in people, and I'm sure when you're intimate with somebody like, Paul's girlfriend, you're gonna notice a huge difference, right? You just know. So Billy appears noticeably taller than Paul, and that's Billy on the right.
Nobody knows. I was just going to add, though, when you are with your loved one, your partner in your life, you know them inside and out. I'm sorry you do. More than their mother, more than anybody, because you spend so much time with them. You live with them. So, yes, obviously, the girlfriend that Paul had, everybody's going to know, like, this isn't Paul. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's like, what? Yeah, 4 to 6 inches taller, judging from the photo. Oh, yeah, for sure. So many of the finer physical details are still missing by late 66 and 67. So facial hair was required to obscure the differences. I mean, you can't change the whole, you can't do that. The rest of the band followed suit to avoid drawing attention to Billy. And by the time the Beatles were promoted in the 67 album, Sgt. Pepper's, basically, which was largely Billy's project, the entire band had adopted new facial hairstyles. So this is where you're getting into the new Beatles beards were fake, as John sings in Sgt. Pepper's Lonely. The reversed vocal states it was a fake mustache. Reverse vocal. We examine the use of backmasking in more detail. So, and this is where the challenge was Paul's hair, which naturally parted to the left while Billy parted on the right. So in the song Won't Get Fooled Again, which was the Who's Next, also, a parking on the left is now the parting on the left is now the parting on the right.
Like I said, there's just so much. And I like what Herb says here. And he's right. He says, if you don't notice a spouse swap, time to start questioning life choices and stop partying so hard. You're right.
You might want to, for sure. For sure. That's funny. So here's another picture. Paul learning to play left-handed was even more daunting than the physical. Billy notes he was usually aware when he was being filmed, thus to make sure to be seen playing left-handed. Then he switches while he's being filmed. So here is Billy. I'll put this up. Here we go. So we're looking at this. Paul in India playing right-handed, then left-handed for the camera. So that's the same. It's the same. You can just tell by the lattice work in the back. It's the same over there. He's just sitting there. So different angles. So, it's like, okay, that's a thing. So there are a lot of differences that are still happening. So we're just going to keep moving. Examples of Abbey Road. LMW stood for Linda McCartney, widowed, which is very interesting, this comment. So Linda McCartney, widowed. So did Paul, before his passing, who, remember, right, he had somebody going to the airport to pick up his actress girlfriend, right? So it says here, Billy walking barefoot, unlike the other Beatles. It features a white Volkswagen with the registration plate LMW 28IF in the background, which many enthusiasts have interpreted as meaning Paul would have been 28 had he lived, to record Abbey Road, and LMW stood for Linda McCartney's widowed. So I'm curious as to the timeline with this. So yes, it's true. Paul is in the middle, or Billy, and let's put this up for a minute just to look at the height.
Yes.
I mean, Paul probably would have been the original Paul probably would have been a little bit shorter than Ringo, and in this
Yeah.
picture shows Ringo as being the shorty,
Yeah. Mhm.
right? And all this hair. But there you go. Yeah, so there's a little bit of a difference there, and the Volkswagen is there. So singing with British biggest pop sellers. And this is a Billy playing right-handed on the cover of Disco 45 magazine in December 1967. So I
Oh,
have right here. There he is. There we go. This
now
is
are we
one of
going
the
to
nice
get the
ones.
usual excuse that the negative was just reversed? And, because
Yeah,
they
it's
always like
possible.
to put stuff like this. Mhm.
Yeah, right there, right
Mhm.
there. So it's a Disco 75. Jesus. Do you remember those days?
I do.
Disco 70, 78, 75. Yeah, Disco 45, December 1967.
Well, I would have
Uh,
been 2 years old in 67.
yeah. Oh my God, right?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Captivating photo of Billy sitting in Paul's reconstructed Austin Martin. Okay, you guys saw the picture, right, of the original car.
Mhm.
I guess you could reconstruct. You have enough money, I suppose you could do anything.
But why?
Um,
Why reconstruct it? Just get a new one if you've got that much money.
well, if you notice right here, okay, I'm going to read this, but notice right here, reconstructed, the interior of the car is white, like on the metal going up along the door jambs and looking
Mhm.
into the door frame, while it's painted black. So the two of us carries layers of irony. It chillingly echoes songs of loss from the alleged crash of Paul and his companion. Uh, what's intriguing is Billy's awkward left-handed grip on the guitar and his need to watch for chord changes. Okay, so I'm going to put this up right now. Okay, there's the car. And if you look inside, yeah, the door jambs and along the bottom, you can see it's all white. Like there was not much left to this car, but here it is, right? So I don't know. Apparently, and people make reference to this. So, and they say right here the difference with him are the earlobes. They are either both
It's
detached,
number
hanging
one.
freely.
Okay,
Huh?
sorry to just jump in here quickly. I
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
people this all the time. You want to tell the difference if somebody is who they say they are, because there's lots of pictures of past presidents, whatever. I always say,
yeah,
look at the earlobes and look at the neck, especially if they're older with the wrinkles in the neck, right? Because those are not impossible, but a little difficult to make exactly the same. But earlobes, I always say check them out. That's just my rule of thumb.
yeah, yeah. I would agree with you on that.
Mhm.
And also they said, yeah, with the earlobes is what they're saying. They're hanging freely like Billy's, or attached to
Mhm.
the head like Paul's. So they
Mhm.
say that the differences suggest the presence of two distinct individuals.
Yep.
And in this picture, apparently Paul, the real Paul, he sort of had an obsession with wearing only black socks, while Billy wore bright multicolored socks all the time.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what he's doing in the pictures. So then we're getting into essentially nothing is real. So they're getting into the magical mystery tour, of course, and the
Yeah.
1 year anniversary of Paul's alleged death. This was September 11th. Billy was no stranger to disguises, so did his thing. Um, then in the day in the life, Death Cab for Cutie, that song, he says when he
Mhm.
saw Cutie, it gave him a thrill. Don't you know, baby, curves can kill. Slip and sliding down Highway 31. Baby, don't do it. The traffic lights changed from green to red. They tried to stop, but they both wound up dead. That's a year later. Highway 31 was a nod to where Paul's crash occurred, or the A31 being a busy road in southern England, which runs 36 miles, blah, blah, blah. Also, a postcode in Birmingham where pesky investigator Sam Wells was from. So there's a whole lot of little things in there.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
Yeah.
there's just too many lyrics. Like you don't even, what are they calling it, backplay or whatever, but you don't even have to play the albums backwards. You if you just look at the lyrics in the
Mhm.
songs, like
Yeah. You look
mhm,
at that, and then I think, imagery, like we've been looking at different images, right? And if we look at that, let's see this
mhm,
picture. Okay, here's a reference. It depicts a scene where John, Paul, and Ringo wearing red suits or wearing white suits and red carnation. Paul has a black carnation.
mhm,
Like it's just those little
mhm.
things that you wouldn't think. People might look at that and go, "Yeah, because he's the leader" or something like that. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't really give much thought to why. And
I
and
agree.
there's another image in a
X.
film.
Mhm,
Yeah, did you see that one, Loli? The magical
mhm,
mystery boy looks like, yeah, someone lost their face in an accident. This is a movie thing. So, but they're saying in this movie, the magical mystery boy was one of Paul's morgue photos, the inspiration for the film, because it
mhm.
says, "We hope you will enjoy the show. Let me
Yes.
introduce you to the one and only Billy Shears and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart Band." Right there, the one and only Billy Shears. Billy's
Yep.
introduction to the world in 1967.
Yeah. I agree.
And the album concludes the finest, most poignant moment and the one that's suggestive of Paul's death, a day in the life. I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. And though the news was rather sad, well, I just had to laugh. I saw the photograph. He blew his mind out in a car. He didn't notice the lights had changed. A crowd of people stood and stared. They'd seen his face before. Nobody was really sure if he was from the House of Lords. I'd love to turn you on a day in the life. And then, of course, it gets into, Paul's friend from, the House of Lords, right?
Hmm.
So I don't know. We start getting into that. I had to laugh, saw the photograph. All of these lyrics are just crazy, but that lens, the House of Lord, comes to a close friend of the Beatles, uh,
Hmm.
Tara Brown, an Irish socialite, and the heir to the Guinness fortune.
Ooh.
So she was tragically died or Tara was a guy. I apologize. Uh,
Hmm.
died in a car crash in December 66, and his father was indeed a member of the House of Lords. So you can hear the word Paul instead of Lords, highlighting how the power suggestion through lyrics can influence perception. So again, there's a whole write up on that. We won't get too much into that, but you guys can go in and definitely have a look at it. It's definitely, it's definitely mind blowing for sure. But interpretations of Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club Band. I'm going to put this up and then I'll read it
Mhm.
and you can let me know your thoughts. So there it is. Apparently, there's all kinds of different,
I
shall we
have a
say,
list. Mhm.
do you have the list?
Just for, I went by album to
Okay.
see. Let me see. We got Abbey Road cover. Hang on. Okay, do you want me to read it out to you? There's not a lot, but there's a
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah. Do it.
the picture up. Okay, so
Yeah.
Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Heart Club's Band album cover, 1967. There's an OPD patch on the inner sleeve. It says, so Paul wears a patch on his arm that says OPD, interpreted as officially pronounced dead, but they're saying it was corrected to OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police. Now, we would know if we blew it up enough. We're both in Ontario. And why
Yeah.
would he have that? Like, why would he wear that? That seems awfully odd.
Exactly. I can't even blow this up because it's a
Yeah,
video. You'd have to
article.
take an image. Yeah.
So it says the grave. It says yellow flowers are arranged to look like a left-handed bass guitar, Paul's instrument, or
Yeah.
on a grave. It says. So
There it
I
is.
oh I see it. I see the
Yeah.
yellow flowers beneath the Beatles in
Yes.
flowers.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
mirror trick. Placing a mirror across the center of the drum logo allegedly reveals the words So one, the number one as in ONE, one X, he die. So I guess if you place a mirror.
One time he
And the
died.
last one is open hand. A hand is visible above Paul's head, which some consider a
Yeah.
symbol of death.
Yep, there it is too. That one we can see. The patch we can't see.
Yeah.
There's the flowers. Wow. So
Mhm.
those are the innuendos. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So, yeah, you just
I
start
went by
with,
album. I asked by album because there were so
yeah,
many points to try and remember. And I'm so glad you're going through this article because it's a sorry, but it's a masterpiece, guys. Like he could make this into
yes,
a
this is great. This
research.
great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, on the right, we see a bloodied racing glove
Mhm.
positioned next to a dead doll, which we do. In the
Mhm.
upper center of the hand is position of Paul's head, as you mentioned. The red
Andrew's is way better
flowers.
than the research I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's perfect
Mhm.
because I could just skip over that too. According to the memoirs, the lower middle features red flowers that spell out Beatles with an O conspicuously placed at the
I
end.
noticed that.
So why? What does it say? As the letters intentionally arranged in a disjointed fashion to say, "Oh, be at Leso Beatles, be at
Yeah,
LESO." Postcards discovered in the bag of a woman who accompanied Paul's faithful journey on her way to Liso, a street in Misoko. So be at Liso.
yeah.
So see those little hints there too. Switzerland, according to the
Mhm.
memoirs. So he gives tons of clues. Liso refers to a Greek island of the same name where Paul is believed to be buried. Be at Liso.
Oh,
Wow. It took several days for authorities to trace her family. Process referred to her as chasing Pepper in the song, The Two of Us. So
I
the
was gonna
numerous,
ask if we have sorry, just for 1 sec. Sorry, I was just thinking if we have any listeners in Switzerland that live in that area, please reach out to
oh,
us. Oh, I was
yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interject.
No,
I
no,
think
no,
it's
no,
an
no. No,
Mhm.
you're here right alongside me. You jump in anytime you want. I will
Yeah.
shut the heck up.
No, because maybe somebody's listening from Misoko,
Yeah.
Switzerland, or
Yeah.
Liso, or however you say it,
Well, we have
Switzerland.
a friend in Switzerland. We should
There
see
you
if they have
go.
family members who could go check this out and see if there's a name there.
Yeah.
Um, Numerous floral arrangements on the cover suggest the entire image represents a funeral scene. And here's an image right here I'm going to put up, and you guys can have a look and see what you think. So there's this image right here. Near lies, oh, here lies Paul. Okay.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
right? Adding to the intrigue surrounding the album's many rich symbolism. Here lies Paul. Oh, okay. There's a
Oh.
thing.
Mhm.
Justice for James Paul McCartney. Wow. Additionally, the back cover depicts Paul with his back turned to the audience, noticeably taller. Okay, I'm going to put this back. I'm going to put this up right
Yep.
here, guys. Right there. He is noticeably taller. And again, if you look at
Yes.
the little dude, it's Ringo now. Look at the difference. I don't think
And
he
he's
and the real
broad.
Paul were that different,
Look
right?
at his
So,
shoulders, how broad he is, because Paul was pretty
yeah.
small, like statured
Yeah.
and fine boned.
Yeah. And see, that's what it says. He
Wow.
has his back turned to the audience, noticeably taller than the other
People are
Beatles.
saying road trip.
Yeah. See? So right there. And he would have been roughly the same height as the others, the real Paul. So there's a thing. Okay. So the albums, here's another one. Okay, here's the patch. Here's the patch. Well, this is what they're showing. The
Mm.
patch right here, Laura. There it is.
Yeah, I'm looking on I'm looking on my picture to see I'm where you are too. Okay, but that doesn't look like OPP to me. It looks like OPD.
Yeah, but that looks like the Canada
It
or
does.
the Ontario, yeah, the Ontario emblem underneath there. I don't
But look at
know.
the second P. That's why I was looking on my phone because it
Yeah,
doesn't look like a P though. Because
it does. It does. The album's gatefold picture includes images of the band in uniform, Billy wearing an OPD patch. Okay, it does.
yeah,
It does. Okay, interpreted as officially pronounced dead. And the same image, George appears to be pointing to the lyric, Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins. The time, and that was the time of Paul's alleged death. So, okay. So we don't see what John is actually pointing at in this one because that was probably in the other picture.
Patch from then. Let me pull one up and see what it looked
Okay.
like.
Yeah, just look at the difference between the two. We can show those. So there are so many discussions about the figures that were removed from the album cover, including the controversial image of Hitler, who John was fascinated by, blah, 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 occult stuff, Aleister Crowley. Okay. So now we're going to get into Get Back. So shifting our focus from symbolism of the Sergeant Hearts album. So here's some lyrics from the different albums or songs. Embraced by George Martin and the Beatles, backmasking reveals further clues that suggest Paul had died in 66. Here's a few examples. I'm So Tired from the White Album, 1968. This is the backmashing recording, Paul's Dead Man, Miss Him, Miss Him. Revolution number 9 from the White Album, again, 68, contains backmasking recording, My fingers are broken and so is my hair, maybe even dead. And the chatter we can hear, so there's chatter, in my broken chair, my wings are broken and so is my hair. Get me out, which can be heard during the sound of a car crash. Okay, wow, that's freaking eerie. As well as turn me on, dead man, hit a pole, get him to see a surgeon. He went to a dentist instead. They gave him a pair of teeth that really weren't that good. What? And the Walrus, 67, contains a backspacing recording. Ha ha, Paul is dead. While the forward singing says, oompa, oompa, stick it up your jumper. I am the Walrus. In the background chatter, you can hear New Man Takes the Fortune. Wow. We have to like research this whole backspacing thing, like this whole backmasking.
I had a couple clips, but not a lot. I had a couple. Yeah. So I've got the Ontario Police patch if you want me to share it.
Yeah, let's just put those up.
It looks pretty similar. So hang on. We want this.
I wonder if it was just altered a bit for this.
God, we could do a whole month on this, Michelle. I swear
You're not wrong. The way we're going, we might have to do a part 2.
Because it looks like the crest, but it doesn't. Like when you look at it, because the OPD, it looks like it's got more red in the letters now on the one that Andrew
did. Clown,
that he showed the picture.
Or is it a year thing? I wonder.
I asked for 1968. I asked for about 1968 or less. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I don't know. People can take a peek, see what you think.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It could be. And go in and see if it has the periods in there. And I don't know. My goodness, New Man Takes the Fortune. Abbey Road. In me he lives while Billy sings, oh darling, please believe me. Then don't pass me by contains backmasking. You were in a car crash and you lost your hair. Let it be. Here's a backmasking recording. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. He's dead. Tomorrow Never Knows from Revolver. I'm only sleeping. Possibly the earliest of the Beatles backmasking recordings. He lives getting better. After all, Paul is dead. He lost his head. Those forward vocals are, I admit, it's getting better all the time, a little better all the time. And then lastly, also Sgt. Pepper's at the end of the forward playing song, just after the word hearts, you hear the phrase Paul is dead. And right after club, the words really dead. So so there's a lot of different things here. Like, I mean, this article, we're only halfway through the article, Lorilei, and we have 20 minutes left. What the hell?
I said we could do a whole month of shows on this, including finding the backmasking. Probably, I don't have any albums, but when back in the day, I probably did it. I would love to do it for myself and play it backwards in here.
I know. Like, there's so much stuff here. It's unbelievable. Like it gets back into Tomorrow Never Ends. So we're getting back into the accident. So we're just going to sort of go back a little bit. There's a whole scrambled egg things. The conditions such as severe uncontrolled bomb. Okay, so this is the whole other thing on has truly passed on. Okay, there's something here. I'm going to read it to you guys.
Okay.
This is for pain management doctor. So just to show it to you guys so you know what we're looking at. The living Paul McCartney suffered from severe symptoms of irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, so the living Paul. McCartney's malady was so bad that occasionally he could not eat, blah, 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 because we're just going to get into some explicit stuff for IBS. Young McCartney changed underwear constantly, blah, 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 blah. Today's McCartney is not. He doesn't have IBS. So James Paul McCartney has truly passed on because there is no cure for IBS. He is dead.
He is right about that because I have a close family relative that has severe IBS. And yeah, you usually have that your whole life.
See? So, okay. So this is...
Especially back in the day. Like there wasn't medications even to really manage it like there is now that can help with some of the symptoms and diet and things. You wouldn't have been looking at that back in the 60s. And now supposedly doesn't have that problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what they're saying. Maybe this was a factor in why they were looking for a stand-in to do an early concert in 65. And in Billy's lyrics of yesterday, it says, "Suddenly I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me." Could it be a reference to Paul's health issues, right? So, and here's something else with I guess the Ashner or the Asher guy, the House of Lords sort of thing. A postscript to Paul's time living with the Ashers. Richard Asher shocked his family and friends when he committed suicide. People think he may have been suicided. So had he reacted badly after Billy broke up with his daughter, who was the actress, right, that the real Paul, was dating. Yeah. So because after that, remember, the love interest changed. Did he know about the fake Paul? Because apparently Paul was very close to his girlfriend, obviously. So I could see him getting like suicided. Jesus. The lyrics of yesterday, far from being a reflection of his relationship with Jane Asher, instead express his own existential anxiety and foreboding about the future. So you have all these. Okay, here we go. Legendary lyrics of the song has been covered and performed more than any other one in history, leaving the scrambled egg lyric as a footnote in Beatles folklore. There's a whole thing on scrambled eggs just about that. You guys could read it. However, the early use of hypnosis raises a troubling question. Could it have foreshadowed MK Ultra, the notorious Tavistock CIA?
That's where I was going earlier.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to mention it, because it invalidates exactly what you were saying. So very, very interested. So yeah, so we have inspecting the Beatles' backmasking equipment at Abbey Road, so they could backmask in here. I'll show this picture because this is the amazing Andrew Gough, who is, of course, the author of this amazing article. And you can see he's very thorough. He came in here and he's researching all of this.
Pulitzer with this, a Pulitzer Prize. I'm serious with the amount of work he's done.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. But there he is. Okay, and oh boy, this see, we're halfway through.
Might have to do part 3, Michelle.
we have to. I think we're going to have to. And I hate to do it, but there's so much information. I think we're going to have to do a part 2 with the satanic connection.
because this was the deep dive part one, absolutely. Because we talked about it, but we talked about other artists in the other show we did. But that's why we said, let's do this. I remember when we were talking about it, we were going to try and throw a little blurb in with someone else. I said, Michelle, we're going to have way too much to do. Remember, we were talking about it.
I'm looking at the little scroll cursor. We're only halfway into the article, and oh my God, this is craziness. Darn it, we might have to wait some time for this though, unless we do a night show. Because otherwise,
I also I keep bringing along the clips.
Yeah. Well, if you have any clips you want to show, any pictures, do it, because we have 10, 15 minutes. And I don't think it would be fair for me to start getting into all of this. I mean, you guys could read the article, but it's you'll see when we talk about it. It's pretty mind blowing. We're getting into some of the
this was actually. We have a delay, and I'm so sorry, you guys. It's on my end, I think, and I apologize. Sorry, Michelle. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Wayne says, "Oh, there was a dark connection. You don't get that big without paying the piper." I've read the article, so I know it's coming. Yeah.
Okay, this is an infrared comparison, pre-accident with Paul and post.
Wow.
So hopefully you guys can see that. I'll try and blow it up. But there's some differences. The bottom one we don't really need.
Yeah. Wow, look at that, eh?
Faul is on the right. Paul is on the left. Yeah, so this is pre and post accident, because I was looking for photos like this. I got some small reels and clips, and we can certainly, fill in some of them here. But these were some of the pictures I was looking at to to see. And I even downloaded a few clips if they went through. Hopefully they did. But of some of the backmasking that was picked up with the album being played backwards. Hi, Audrey. Audrey says hi. So Heidi says she's just getting ready to drive her. So
little Audrey, hello, little princess.
Okay, here's another picture, and it tells you the date. So give me one sec.
Yes.
Come here. Where did you go? Here you are. Sorry, guys. This is a noticeable difference. It gives you the dates. So give me one sec here. I got to pull it up. Sorry, guys, I'm rusty. Wait for a week or two, and I'm rusty.
There's a huge difference, Lorilei. Look at that.
Huge.
Oh my God. Yep. That is, come on. Oh yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
I have video footage too, and if you want to save it even when we get into the deeper stuff though, and I had it for the last show too, particularly with George Harrison's wife, Olivia Harrison, calling Paul Billy. She always called him Billy.
Play it, because the next part 2 is going to be into the whole Illuminati satanic side of things.
And then, they were associated with Aleister Crowley. We know that.
All of that. Oh my God!
I have so many clips here. You guys, hang on. Okay, where are you? Did I go too far? No, I'm still going. I had so much stuff here. Like I told you, when I research. When we research, you and I research, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Olivia Harrison. It's coming up, guys. Just loading. Give me a sec. It's on YouTube. So, don't. Okay, let's go backwards. Behave yourself now. Don't play yet. Hang on. I don't know why I got a delay. The weather is beautiful here. It's cold, but no snow for once, because we.
We're getting all your snow, Lorilei.
Hang on.
We're getting all your snow down in the south.
Oh my! Are you 2 feet, 2.5 feet since Christmas? So how much?
That's insane. Okay, here we go.
Okay, let me play it. So I'll pop on you guys. Hang on.
What's it like to do what? It's lovely. So excuse me, I've got
Let me pause it because I'm going to let you guys hear that again. Okay. You can. She says, "Hello, Billy." That's Olivia Harrison, George Harrison's wife. There's a few clips like this. Yeah, so
There
there's
it
that.
is.
I've got
There it
some
is.
other clips. I've got clips of George Harrison. I don't know if I'll bring them for next time, but he's actually on a recording. They're in a studio. It's way back in the day, and he's calling Paul McCartney William.
Mhm.
So
I've
it's not been edited. Like, this is from back in the day. Mhm.
Yeah, there's also video floating around before I put up this comment of, I guess, Paul/Billy walking out of a restaurant. I think it might be in France. Might I'm thinking. Anyway, and it was around Christmas time. I don't know if it was not 2025, but 2024, maybe 2023. And a man is walking behind him, an older version of a man who looks a whole lot like John Lennon.
Wow.
People were
Are you
going,
serious?
yeah. People were looking at him going, oh, come on. Like, it circulated
Wow.
everywhere. I thought for sure you would have had that one. I think if you just
I
look
didn't
for
see that one.
John Lennon, Paul McCartney walking out a restaurant current,
Mhm.
you might catch that clip because it's definitely there. And as we move along in this article, we'll see how it was John Lennon and Paul McCartney very much instrumental in the
Yes.
direction that the band ended up taking. So it goes, so if here's a hypothesis we could leave you guys with. You can tell Wayne's read the article. If Paul didn't leave the band for his own reasons, and perhaps he was a yeah, you can all read it, like a okay, we'll just go with a sacrificial lamb that was required to keep everyone connected to the band making millions.
And I would totally agree with you, Wayne. I could see that happening. Mhm.
Yeah. You start looking at things and you know, there's definitely a lot of stuff. And I wish we could get into everything else, but there's just
More.
there's just not. But you know what? We might have to take this to a night show because otherwise, if I only have a booking for April right now for this show.
I'm booking into May, end of May,
I
June.
know.
So I hear you.
Oh, that's
Yep.
just for BTOR, this show, yeah. And I'm just like, I'm looking like, where can I squeeze this in? I kind of left it open, and I'm just like, no, because otherwise, yeah, it would be May for this show because I only have once a week for this show, right? So, but it's just like I
Mhm.
don't think we want to wait that long for part 2 on this because it's just pretty incredible. So I will shoot a date at Lorilei once we get
Yes.
off the air, and but I'm thinking we could do like a February for this on the main
Perfect.
show though, guys, because it's going to get into some deeper, darker content, I think, at that point. So
One of my
I don't
favorite
know.
topics to get into that, digging into that arena sometimes.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I think so. And it sure does. It sure does make you think when you start getting into that. So it's going to be really amazing, and I can't wait to get into it. So, Lorilei, what do you have coming up? Anything you
What do I
want us
have
to?
coming up?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have a show, Kerrilynn and I. I would have been on last night, guys, just so you know. And unfortunately, my guest has been on before, but I didn't hear back in time, and we can only leave it so long. So I gave you a replay from when my show used to be really late back in the day. I knew you guys hadn't seen that replay, and he's awesome. It was with Michael Roser on the Angel Rock. So this Monday, let me double check. I should have been ready. I have the
Yeah.
Angel 6 p.m. Eastern. And then Thursday, Kerrilynn and I are doing a show. I touched base with her today. So we got some more planning coming up for new shows. I can't tell you what we're doing. Actually, this Monday coming up, you guys love him. He has been on the Outer Realm, and he does know Michelle. It's Steve Burgess, a hypnotherapist. He does a whole bunch of things. He was on probably about 6 months ago, and I believe it was talking about connecting with the other side and past lives. And you guys said, yes, have him back. So
Yeah.
that's what I got coming up. Thank you for having me. I love doing this.
Oh, you
Thank
kidding me?
you.
We always have so
I
much
missed you
fun.
guys.
Ah, we always miss you. So this is great. I love this series because this is going to be like, I will book you for the
Thank
April date anyway, just because we
Me
know
too.
we're going to keep the series going, right? So that will be fun. Going to be a hard act to follow this one, I'll tell you. But man, oh man. So for those of you guys who are, regularly tuning into the Outer Realm tomorrow night. Well, actually, let me back up a minute. I'm going to be joining Kerrilynn Idarola on Ethereal Encounters tomorrow at 4 p.m., 4:10 p.m., talking about spiritual warfare, but going back, starting with the ancient aspect of everything, and then probably working through on another segment into more current times. So it's going to be good. But tomorrow night on the Outer Realm, welcoming metaphysical author, blogger Mark Russell Bell. I was so glad when this guy reached out to me. My gosh. So he touches on many metaphysical topics. And in this segment, he's going to be talking about one of his amazing article and others, I'm sure, a metaphysical approach, which presents precise evidence and documentation of interstellar and interdimensional UFO, UAP, space people interactions. So, what's the real story? He kind of starts with a lot of nonfiction stuff and talks a lot about channelers who've been channeling for decades and dealing with, ET and such. Thursday, of course, Maxim Furyk returns to talk about the book, The Smurl Haunting. We tried this back in October, and they had a storm rolling into Florida, and he lost all connection. So we're doing this again. And we're going to have a proper show with Maxim on this topic. So thank you guys all for tuning in. Of course, thank you to Lorilei as always. You've been listening to Beyond the Outer Realm, and we have been broadcasting on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from beautiful New Orleans. So thank you all, and we'll see you tomorrow night on Carol Ann's show, tomorrow night on the Outer Realm. And don't miss Lorilei and Kerrilynn Shellhorn on Tuesday, right before our show. So you got back-to-back amazing stuff. Anyway, thank you all. Good afternoon, good night on the other side of the world, and thank you for tuning in.